even if it drew only a few oohs and ahs from the crowd. Incomplete passes don't wow the masses, but 88 yards on a wet field in the rain with no running start? I was watching someone who could change the game with his talent. Between his arm and his scrambling ability, Elway redefined the X's and O's of the game. There are only a handful of athletes at any time who can do that in a given sport. Back then, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were doing it in the National Basketball Association, and Michael Jordan was a few years away. Wayne Gretzky was changing hockey. Martina Navratilova was altering women's tennis, and Lawrence Taylor was redefining what was possible on defense in the National Football League. Athletes like that changed the parameters of sports. With Elway, what you would never imagine in drawing up a play was now completely in the realm of thought. Playbooks could be expanded. The absurd was possible. Conversely, what defensive coaches and players might normally scoff at was now something that they had to fear when Elway was under center. Not that they took it on faith. They had to experience it for themselves. Over the rest of Elway's college career and 16 years in the NFL, defenders facing him for the first time would regularly stop running at a certain point when the receiver ran deep, figuring there was no way he could throw it that far. He'd then make even the best of them look foolish, as Ronnie Lott will later explain. In the history of the NFL, there have been quarterbacks who have outperformed Elway from a statistical standpoint. Whether it was Dan Marino, Brett Favre, or Peyton Manning, many have compiled great stats, usually aided by better systems and better surrounding talent. Some quarterbacks have won more than Elway, most famously Tom Brady and Joe Montana. And other passers have even had some of Elway's physical ability. Jeff George, Jamarcus Russell, and Drew Henson were among a host with cannon arms. Michael Vick and Steve Young were great scramblers. Cam Newton has the size relative to his opponents. Bob Greasy, Drew Brees, and Troy Aikman were among many who had the intelligence and will. No one has ever possessed the collection of skills to the degree of Elway. And now, no other quarterback has ever chased greatness for as long as Elway. Where others have rested on their laurels, he has remained resolute in his chase. These days, Elway is perched high above the fields he once roamed, surveying the game as Denver's president of football operations and general manager. Because, in addition to his raw skill, Elway possesses passion and an undying love of competition and willingness to chase it, even in the low levels of the game. Few people realize Elway spent his own money in the Arena Football League to get his start in management. Years later, he put his legacy on the line. Of course, none of us, Elway included, could know what was to come on that November day in 1980. All I knew as an 18-year-old is that I was witness to someone who was startling in his measurable physical greatness. I felt as if I was watching Zeus throw thunderbolts from his hand. Little did I know I was watching the opening act of a Greek tragedy that would last nearly 2 decades. The story of Elway is not about talent easily realized. It is about talent being tested to the point of torture, both on and off the field. He was like Prometheus, who gave fire to humans and then was punished by the gods. Elway was tied to the rocks and made to suffer season after season. This story is about a man so gifted he could have sacrificed working at his craft and still been great, yet never did, even in the face of epic failure. After Elway finished his career by leading the Denver Broncos to back-to-back Super Bowl championships, he wanted to keep going. Elway is the definition of ceaseless desire. This story is also about inspiration on a personal level. Elway didn't just enable his coaches to change the parameters of what was possible on the field and help his teammates achieve greatness. He also pushed fans to search their own imaginations. Great artists do that. Whether it was Elway on the field, Hendrix with a guitar, or Monet with a canvas and brush. For my friends and me, Elway was our muse. After leaving Big Game that day in 1980, we plotted to steal the axe, the symbol of the Sanford-Cal rivalry, from Cal. We never did it, but we had a plan. It was just too hard to safely acquire and transport that much liquid nitrogen. In 1981, we executed our first good pre-Big Game prank. Along the northbound